Simon. I fucking laugh. We know. Welcome to the Unspoken Podcast, mate. This one has been on my mind for a while. So before we get going,
Yes.
why don't we tell people who the fuck you are? Because there's so many different ways I could introduce you, but who the fuck are you, mate? And what's something that people should know about you?
Still figuring that one out myself. Who am I? I'm a dad of two.
Yeah.
118 this year, 120 this year. That freaks me out. Fuck.
Yeah, it goes by quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, so dad, husband. What am I? I'm a psychologist these days. Doing coaching and training and speaking and all around my kind of niche of work, which is emotional and psychological resilience. That's me.
Yeah. We should really touch on that straight away. Emotional and psychological resilience.
Yeah.
That's a fucking buzzword that gets thrown around a lot, isn't it?
Resilience?
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems to be, there's a lot of people kind of jumping on this resilience bandwagon.
Yeah. Because it's like we, the work on mental health and stuff, which is it's a zero-sum game. It's not a zero-sum game. It's an infinite game.
Yes.
Never going to go away. As in most things in life, it's a relationship. But what does resilience mean to you in this kind of day and age? It is a fucking buzzword, but it's not to you.
No, because it's been something that's been part of my life for a long time. Having to have resilience in different capacities. I think I've been mentally strong. I have been mentally strong for a long time. I haven't been emotionally strong.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
No, I didn't know what the fuck they were.
I mean, we could joke about that shit, right?
No,
but like, I've never heard you say that before.
No, I didn't really get what the hell it was all about when I was younger, and I certainly wasn't emotionally resilient. I wasn't emotionally stable.
Do you think that's a prerequisite? Because you obviously served in the Royal Marines.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that helped to channel that energy more constructively.
Yeah.
But it doesn't teach you how to recognize them for what they are and how you can change them.
So just to clear up on that, what doesn't teach you?
The Royal Marines, no
like military training.
Military training of any capacity in any form doesn't. It helps you to become mentally resilient, but not emotionally resilient, because emotions get in the way of doing the job. And there's this. I think it's a misrepresentation. It's called soft skills or soft emotions. They're not fucking soft.
So give us an example.
So what was classed as compassion and empathy and stuff like that. That doing the job of the military, when you're doing it hard and fast like that, you can't have compassion for somebody you're about to shoot in the face.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. That gets in the way. That gets you killed.
It does get you killed. And I think a lot of people miss it. Like most people love. We live in a society where there's the majestic persona of it. Like the Call of Duty, the movies, all that shit. And young men especially, because we didn't really have that growing up. We had, I grew up watching the Guns of Navarone and fucking, D-Day kind of movies and all that stuff. That was my kind of heroic, nostalgic look at it.
Yes.
But we grew up in a hard culture. Very fucking hard culture.
Yeah.
You were kicked out at fucking 7 a.m, just out all day.
Entertain yourself.
Entertain yourselves.
Yeah.
If you're bored, get a slap in the face and get back on with it. But I think... fucking brain's going fucking fried again. But I think coming back to... That's going to happen. The emotional side of it, yeah. It's... I went in to the army. I know you're Marines, but I wasn't expecting it to be easy or like some kind of wonderful life. I was escaping fucking a shitty fucking background in the hope to get another better life. Mm-hmm. But you're right. These soft skills, they don't teach you anything about that.
They're not soft skills, they're hard skills.
They're hard skills. But that thing about getting, that's what I was getting at. the shooting someone in the face, getting it in the fucking, which is just fucking, you're in a contact, but I wasn't ready for a lot of the shit that I saw. I know you weren't either, but
No.
you never spoke about it, ever, and I'm fucking, my brain's, this is weird, I'm going to be honest with you here, I've just had a moment where my fucking brain's just fried, that little fucking,
Well,
not anxiety or anything like that, but because you know this about me, when my brain just loses.
we'll take it in turns. Don't worry. It's good. Well, you'll know when I look vacant. Space to let.
But you know what I was doing there? I was trying to fill up the words. I was trying to fill the little gap between a little bit to try and get back to what my brain was forgetting.
That's all right.
That's weird.
I get it all the time. Don't worry about it.
Do you think it happens more with veterans?
I don't know. It's an interesting question, actually. I think it happens a lot if you've had a lot of head blows to the head.
Yeah.
Whether it's
physical trauma,
whether it's being punched or whether it's concussive injuries from.
Yeah. A little shock and awe.
Yeah, being close to things that go bang in the night.
Like waking up next to an AS10.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
What's that loud thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Just. Yeah, the mind farts are, just roll with it.
Yeah, it was the thing where you were speaking about getting shot in the face or shooting someone in the face, I should say, because you've got a pretty face.
Thank you, darling.
I'm glad you've never been shot in the face.
Yeah, me too. That looks sore.
Yeah, that does look sore. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to kind of cover here, and we're kind of like dancing around here. But I actually have some questions.
Yeah, shoot. Go for it.
So I wrote them down. I've actually get myself organised this time. So yeah, I know. Can't get my thoughts squared away. It's like, stick to the question, Steve.
Yeah, go for it.
What's your biggest regret?
Oh, fucking hell. God, which one do I pick? That's a really hard question. I used to think that I don't do regrets, but I definitely do. And there's things that I don't regret, but I just wouldn't do again.
Like what?
Well, just the whole thing of test and adjust, the whole fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
There's things in life you go, oh, I'll give that a go, but afterwards you go, oh, yeah, okay, it was okay, but I wouldn't do it again. Even something simple as going picking something off a menu.
Mm-hmm.
There's things.
There's something as small as that.
Yeah, there's some. It was okay, but I wouldn't choose it again.
See, that's weird. You said I don't alter. I don't change. Like I know exactly what I want to eat. I don't need to. Oh, I wonder what that might be like. If there's something new, it's usually a recipe I want to learn.
Yeah.
Like if I see something on the Saturday kitchen, or
oh hell yeah.
Yeah, right. So we should talk about that later. Kitchen stuff, right? But like,
oh yeah.
I don't like going out to a restaurant and going, oh, that looks nice off the menu. Nah, mate. Give me the fucking gammon and steak.
Yeah.
I know what I want to eat. I want to have the experience. I want the result up that I know.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a fucking gamble. So I like that.
Oh, I always.
What's an extreme?
An extreme. Well, no, there was something in the military. There was something I thought about doing. I thought, fuck, no, that looks far too hard. So I definitely didn't do that one.
Can we talk about this?
That's the ML's course.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that looks interesting, but I'm not a massive fan of being fucking cold all the time.
Yeah, ML, Mountain Leader.
Mountain Leader. Yeah. So phenomenal course. I much prefer the jungle. I prefer being warm.
Really?
Well,
I'm the opposite.
Kind of growing up in the Far East.
Oh yeah, but
so I grew up with the jungle in outside my back door almost. So I just bugger off for the day.
That's not a sexual connotation, by the way.
Not
or is it?
Not on this occasion.
That took all of 10 minutes.
Well, I'm surprised it took that long.
Oh, fuck's sake. I remember we were given when you're given like tasks on camp, like leadership training and stuff to get men out of their shell.
Yeah.
We were given a task to give a 2-minute presentation on inanimate things.
Yes.
and somebody was given the subject of irony, and I was like, oh, that's a fucking hard one, and it's got to be a 2-minute snapshot. There was a guy in our troop. He was a fucking sexual fiend. He was fucking funny. Everything had a sexual connotation to it.
Yeah.
And he took it to the extremes. You're like, fucking hell, you would never get away with that in this day and age.
Yes.
But he's a really good family man. So we were like, right, what we're going to pick for him? Has to be something that cannot be turned into like a sexual kind of, conversation.
Oh, anything can.
Oh, mate, right. So clogs. We picked clogs. Took all of a split second, He's like, yeah, clogs. A great sexual laid at the weekend. I'm like, for fuck's sake, man. I love people like that.
Twist.
Twist.
Twist and turn.
Twist and turn. What the fuck? Oh, yeah, questions. Regret.
Regret. I know. I'm kind of talking my way into trying to figure out what the biggest regret. Fuck. I've got a few things. If I was to go back and do things again, I turned down the option for commission in the Royal Marines.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I turned that down because I was young and stupid. So I would definitely take the commission or the opportunity for commission.
See you thinking about this.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what the hell. I don't know. I think that there's some. Without going into detail, I set myself up for a fall. And made some bad choices. Not that I did anything untoward, but it created the perception that was the case.
I understand.
And I do fucking deeply regret creating that perception.
I respect that.
Unintentionally.
Right? Yeah, and I respect the fact that, there's certain things we can't talk about. But, yeah, and I think something you said a second ago hit home with me because I have came to that conclusion myself. And maybe, anyone that's listening to this or watching, ask yourself, for me, I used to believe in that. No, people say, you got any regrets, but if you could go back, would you do anything differently? No, I wouldn't be the man I am today if I didn't. And I'm like, fuck that. There is shitloads I would change. There was shitloads of stuff I have regrets about. Married way too young. Fucking... I just turned 23. Fucking on my 4th tour, I went AWOL. Clearly signs that something was going on. Yeah, nobody stopped me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But, yeah, I've got my son and stuff like that, and that's great. But, fuck, man, I was a kid. And, yeah, I've got many regrets. But I think they're a wonderful part of life.
Yes, Life needs to have a long list of heroic fuck-ups.
I like that.
Because if you're not living life if you don't fuck up. It's that test and adjust and the fuck around and find out. You don't know if it's a good choice until you make the choice.
Yeah, that was my dad's lasting wisdom to me. I phoned him up once when I was on tour. I used a tax app, and I was 18. I was on my first tour actually. I was in Catlinova. Yeah, we were in Catlinova at the top of a radio hillside, and this was just before the war kicked off in Kosovo, and I was waiting to do something. I wanted his advice because he'd served as well, and I said, Daddy, got any fucking tips, any advice? And he said, know your failings. I was like, know my fucking feelings? I don't fail. I win. I succeed. A decade later, the wisdom of that. It's really fucking hard to put just a small thing to matter so fucking much.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know until you've fucked up. You don't really know. You can't learn the lesson until you make the mistake, can you?
No, that's great. I love that, mate. So, what's something you've been telling yourself but you haven't told the world?
Shit the bed, Steve. Something I've been telling myself.
Yeah, like something that's kind of, when... I mean, for me, like, it's been, like, why the fuck am I not fucking looking the way I should? All right, I'll be a bit more honest. Like, I thought I'd be a happily settled down, married man with a big family around me now. And yet, I'm 44, single, and still figuring shit out.
Oh, I'm still figuring shit out, yeah. Well, I think certainly something that I haven't really told people, I guess, is despite what how people might perceive me, I struggle with anxiety and depression.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, mate. That means
I
a
have
lot. I actually did not expect that.
I have non-functioning days where I can't human.
Do you know, I think that might actually be one of the most courageous things I've had you say to me.
Mm.
And there's been a lot, but
yeah, no, I do.
wow. That kind of speaks for itself, that, mate. Moving on. What's the biggest thing you've been wrong about in the last year?
In the last year. Probably my capacity or my capability to still do some of the things I used to do. In a physical sense.
Yes, no,
yeah.
I got you, mate. Yeah, yeah, that's.
I still.
What's something that, like, what would be a specific part of that?
Well, I do what I can to exercise around my limitations.
Yeah.
And sometimes I actually, I get to a point where actually I'm feeling quite good, and then I fuck it up.
How?
And do something that I go, oh, maybe I could do that again. Yeah.
Yeah, something from the past.
Yeah, and
you,
then
that you fancy doing. Yeah,
and then you have that very bright light bulb moment again, and going, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And then I set myself back on, like, sometimes 3-4 weeks because I'm just a shit heap again afterwards.
Yeah, no,
And I know I shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because I know what happens when I do, but I still have that desire to push myself and test myself. That's just inherent in who I am, and I've got to learn to fucking stop it. Because
it's that mortality motivation. It's like a little part. I feel that too. Before I left Banff, and I moved into the city, I was getting back into walking and slightly jogging. I was like, I feel good, and I went out for a run. 18 kilometers I did that one day. Felt fucking epic.
Yeah.
I was like, still got it. 3 months I was buckled. The next day I was like, what the fuck have I done?
Yeah.
My knee was like a fucking balloon.
Yeah.
I'm like, what capacity in my brain? Because that used to be like easy when we were younger.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no, I haven't done that again.
Yes.
Yeah, which is actually painful to accept.
It is. It's painful when I fucking do it as well.
Oh man, so I'm in my 40s. You're in your early 50s. What advice would you give to young men who have that invisibility? You know, that not invincibility. That part of them that they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. Do you remember that feeling?
Oh yeah.
This will last forever.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
youthful, energetic. You know, you could stay up all night. You could fucking make love all night. You could have sex all night. You could run all night. You could eat what you want, drink what you want, and bang out 10 miles the next morning. Oh, I'm invincible. This will last forever. And it doesn't hit you like a ton of bricks. It just kind of creeps up on you. And slowly pieces get taken away, and you're like, wake up one morning, you're like, fuck.
It does. It does. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't. It's not an overnight thing, and it's hard because it creeps up on you. It's hard to catch,
Yeah.
and it's getting to that point where actually that self-awareness to go, actually, this is harder than it used to be.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, like tying your shoelaces.
Yeah. That's why I've got elasticated laces, because I can't tie the fucking things.
That's fucking crazy.
Absolute biff.
Speaking about biffs, so you've been kidnapped 3 times.
Yes.
Which one was the most brutal and why?
It's a toss-up between 2 and 3. First one was like a holiday.
That's a comment you'd never hear from a human being.
No, it was like an 1830 drinking beer. I know, it's surreal and it's utterly fucking ridiculous. But the second one was fucking painful.
Okay.
Really painful.
Why?
Just getting beatings. Getting beaten with a machete, flat side of a machete.
Yeah.
Getting knocked around. And initially, when they were doing the mock executions, obviously, arsehole going from 5p to dustbin lid.
100%, yeah.
But it kind of got old hat quite quickly because they were doing it so often. So
Okay.
it lost its effect, because sometimes they didn't have a magazine on, but as long as you weren't the first one they were going to do it with, after that you're perfectly safe, because the fucking idiots.
Yeah.
But the last one, the third one, I knew was hard. Yes, I got a kick in, but I knew I was on a one-way trip, so it was. I had to do something to get out of it. So in that respect, I think that was probably mentally was the most brutal.
Yeah. How did you get through that? Like, forget the fucking films, all that shit. Like, how the fuck did you get through that, mate? How did you get through not every day, but every minute, every hour? The uncertainty, I'm sure there were maybe moments of like, I don't know, was there moments of like long quiet, or was it just constant noise?
In the second one,
Yeah.
yeah, there was lots of periods of quiet.
Was that hard?
Yes, in a way, because you're lost. You get lost in your own head, and you can freak yourself out playing what if. So yeah, the quiet moments but I didn't mind that too much, because I was quite happy in my own head.
I think it takes that little bit of a. I suppose it is a tiny little bit of edged madness, or like a little bit of, there's that dark side.
Yeah. When
Because you can't get through that kind of shit without a little bit of
yeah, well, it's great. It's
edginess.
great in here.
Yeah,
It's much better than outside.
I like that.
So I was like, yeah, I can crack on. Leave me alone. I'll just sit here.
Yeah,
I can waste hours, days, just sitting doing fuck all, not talking to anyone.
used to hear about stories of guys in Vietnam that would build a house in their head,
Yeah.
foundations, brick
Yeah.
by brick, everything. They'd just build a home because it would take them, a year.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. The longest I've been is 35 days, which is more than some and considerably less than others.
Yeah,
You
locked up is locked up,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's
But, I'm lucky.
yeah.
Really
That's
fucking lucky.
why.
Well, because of the short duration, really. I mean, Terry Waite was held for 5 years, chained to a radiator.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what the fuck have I got to moan about? Really?
You've got a really good attitude towards yourself in this life, mate. Having come through some of these situations.
I mean, I didn't get through it scot-free. Everything has an effect. But I've through the course of my work, etc., I've met some people who've profoundly helped me to work through the things that I had trouble with. And I'm enormously grateful, eternally grateful to them for their help.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's not about like that. Is that I love the expression, you can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter.
Yeah.
So life is shit sometimes. Sometimes it's really fucking hard, and it's scary. And other times it's exhilarating and beautiful, and the quote that I hold in the front of my mind pretty much every day is, where attention goes, energy flows.
It's such a good one.
So focus on what you want, not on the shit.
And on that, I love that, mate. Why do people struggle with change so much?
Because it takes people out of their comfort zone.
But why is that so hard? Why are we so fucking addicted to comfort? Why is the world so addicted to... I'm not just talking about convenience, because there's nothing wrong with convenience, because that's like saving time, it makes life a little bit easier, but why are we so fucking afraid of change and comfort? And what do you think that is?
Well, that comfort zone isn't always comfortable, but it's the familiarity. It's the habit and the routine. Even if it's something that means that somebody is self-sabotaging, they'll do it because it's familiarity, and it's that fear of the unknown, even if it's kind of that better the devil you know.
Do you think that's behaviour?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We are creatures of habit.
And do you think that comes from childhood? Or is that a culmination of experiences? Because environment's a huge factor, but it's not
massive.
It's not the ultimate factor. There's so many things going on, so many elements. But do you think that's maybe what it is? I'm just having that thought, like everyone's looking for the one thing, and it's not one thing.
No, it's not one thing.
It's fucking everything. How you think, how you feel, what your beliefs are.
Yes.
So,
and it's having the awareness and it's really hard.
Yeah,
it's a hard thing to uncover, is doing it on by yourself, to figure out, right, what am I doing that's fucking me up?
This brings me on to something I wanted to speak about. I was actually thinking about this morning. You know me. Do you remember that? Do you remember that day we were in your garden and you helped me?
Yes.
What was that? What was it that you did that day? Was it EMDR or what was it? That thing wasn't that? What? No. Just the resilience work that you do.
Yes.
So I remember that day, and we've got it on camera.
Yes.
I've never shared this with anyone, but as you know, but for anyone that's not watching, I had a fucking really tough fucking childhood. Some had harder ones than me, but for me, abandonment straight off the bat. Mm-hmm. Abandoned by the man that should have been there to protect and guide me. Mm-hmm. So I was surrounded by women. And it was a fucking tough old jaunt in the 80s. And then poverty. Mm-hmm. Sometimes no food, no fucking, constant jumble sale clothing. I'm proud of that background, by the way. But I didn't know that childhood trauma was going to be a thing in my life. Then I was in the military, 4 tours of duty, 2 wars, coming out, divorce, fucking blah, all the fucking shit, right? Like, life just kicks you in the balls now and again. And I've got up every time. I got through PTSD, worked through depression, worked through suicidal shit, worked through, downturns in the economy, all this stuff. And I was like, what the fuck is continually fucking my life up? There's this thing in the background, mm-hmm. this fucking unspoken thing. And that was where this idea came from, an unspoken wound, an unspoken part of our lives. And it was childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And it was the fucking one thing I never paid any attention to, which made me realise everything we've spoken about here, like change is hard, behaviour, all the things. I knew. I think I unconsciously knew.
Yeah.
Not consciously, but I was like, I'm not fucking going there. I am not fucking going there. And we were in your garden, and we were doing the coaching session or therapy session, whatever you want to call it. And I remember you talking about this thing, and I was like, I'm uncomfortable with this. I don't want to do this. I need to do this. And I think it was the first time I felt safe in another person's presence to even visit that. And you did this thing, right? And I had my eyes closed, and you were guiding me through it. You were guiding me through this kind of process, and I saw this little boy at the kitchen table, legs swinging, typing on a keyboard. He was just happy-go-lucky, and I was like, "Oh, look at that!" I think that I wasn't. I thought it was Jack at the beginning, but I was like, "Shit, I think that's me." And it was the weirdest feeling. And then I saw this man, and I'm coming through my living room door. So there was opposing sides, and I was in the middle. And there was this fucking handsome man in his 60s, 70s. He had this blue suit on and this nice tie, and his hair was swept back grey. And I was like, fuck is my grandfather. He was like my hero as a child, you know. Mm-hmm. And then they started walking towards each other, and the weirdest fucking feeling. That's not my grandfather. It's me. It's the embodiment of who I wish I could be.
Yep.
This man who had, he was centered, calm. He was in his own skin.
Yep.
Confident but quiet. You know, not boisterous and out there and loud or whatever. He looked fucking good. He looked healthy. He looked wealthy. He looked like all the things that I wish I could be. And here's this kid. This little kid, you know, that'd been left behind. And it was and I remember in the video, like, saying, like, holy fuck, this is, dude, this is what the fuck is going on? And that was the first time in my life I'd actually had an experience of healing the child.
Yep.
And I think that's, for me, was my first true visit to the, like, shadow work. Like,
yep,
visiting my shadow that had been buried for decades. Yeah, I'd been to therapy and I'd done, you know, all this stuff. PTSD was just not there and all that things, but that was one of the most pivotal, monumentally important shifts in my adult life. And I never went back there. And I was too fucking scared to go back. Mm-hmm. This last year, as you know, has been an interesting year.
It has.
And I haven't, you know, I took a year off from, you know, sexual relationships. I wasn't with anyone. I wasn't sexually active. I didn't date. I didn't even consider it. I focused on me, myself, the things that matter to me, friends, family, business. What a fucking year. And it's been in the back of my mind, I really want to do this inner child work. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about this because I think men more now than ever need this conversation within themselves.
At some point, probably yes. Whether it's a conversation they have with themselves, or they have with a mate, or with a therapist of some sort. Yeah, look, we've all got hang-ups from childhood. We all do. Doesn't matter what, you know, what circle of society you're in, we've all got hang-ups. I mean, look at the royals, you know.
Yeah.
You know, privileged position, but still, every family has its hang-ups.
We've all got our fuck-ups and messes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no one escapes life unscathed, without a shadow of a doubt. And the thing about that is, you know, what we did in my back garden that day was very indirect.
How do you mean?
I didn't specifically tell you or ask you anything about your childhood.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was whatever came up in your head.
You fucking bastard.
And it was.
I just realised this.
I never asked you any questions about childhood.
Fuck.
All I did was get you into the headspace where you were comfortable to allow whatever you needed to come out and sort.
Yeah. See, this is interesting because, like, I've been doing this work. I've been helping thousands of people for it, like, in the last 18 years. And I need fucking help. And
we all do.
We all do. You know, there's no... and, you know, there's been a lot of people that have come into my life, but nobody's made a dent. Like, actually, apart from yourself, it would be Professor Alexander. Mm-hmm. You know, was a man I just fucking admired. And but it's hard to it's fucking hard to get that shit out in the open.
It is. And you made the point. It was it was the first time you'd felt safe and comfortable to kind of allow that to happen.
Yeah. Well, I've been dressed up in ego for so long.
Well,
Ego was running the show. Do you know what I mean?
We mask things and we hide, and we don't want to fess up to stuff that's could be deemed as a weakness by other people. Well, sometimes by women, but often by other blokes.
Yeah. I mean, I've never actually admitted this ever live, but one of the reasons I actually tried to take my own life back when I was still in the military, and a couple of times outside of it, it wasn't because I didn't want to be here. I wanted to be here. I didn't think I could be here. So, with that kid that got blown up in Kosovo, I wanted to help, and we got ordered to leave him at the side of the road. See, this is a thing, like, people might have heard me speaking about this a few times, but they don't know the feeling that comes with it. Like, the graduation of that trauma. Because it's not what happens at the moment, it's everything else that happens after. And it shifts and it changes.
Yes.
The reason I struggle with it so much is I thought I'd ignored what it meant to be human. And for me, that was more than I could bear. I didn't think that was going to ever happen in military life. Mm-hmm. People talk about, like that kind of shit only happens in like sneaky special forces type shit. And I'm like, here I am at 18 dealing with a family that's been fucking decimated at the side of the road. And here we are, there's fucking shit happening all over the place. And I want to help this kid. Nah, leave him. We're moving. More important things to take care of, boys. And off we fucking went. And it was never brought up. So for me, I didn't think I'm not a religious person, but for anyone, if you've ever fucking been stood on a trench, sat in a trench, or you've been taking fucking fire, you're in a contact, you start to fucking question things. You start to ask, if I'm going, I really fucking hope I go to the nice base. I hope I go to heaven, is what I used to think. Now I used to think, I am never getting into heaven. I'm fucked. I am definitely going to hell for leaving that kid at the side of the road. And that was the torture that I had inside of me. So all the work after all these years has been my hope to earn my way back in. That's what that was.
Yeah. We got no choice. We follow orders in the military. Everyone does, and we're not in decision making positions.
No, we're not.
But as you've rightly said, it doesn't stop us feeling what we feel. That's our humanity, and that's something to hang on to.
Yeah.
Because you lose your humanity,
Yeah, it's a cold existence.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to. There are times when you've got to switch it off because you can't have too much of that and live.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But
definitely.
It's that ability to switch it back on really quickly when the hard stuff stops, and flip it back on again so that you can then have compassion. You can shoot somebody and fight through, but then you can patch them up.
Yeah.
And there's so many examples of that. One of the ones that really stands out in my head is from the Falklands, where one of the ships they shot down an Argentinian pilot was shot down, but then he was rescued by the crew of a ship, brought into the tank deck and up, and then taken into the ship's hospital and treated.
Yeah.
But shown complete compassion because poor bugger's just been shot down. Yes, it's a war, but
Still a person.
It's still a human being.
Yeah.
And at that point, you take care of them.
That fundamentally is the beauty of only something in war could you find that part of yourself, and it's significantly sacred.
Yeah, I mean it's I think we need to find humans need to find their humanity on a global scale.
Now, speaking of global scales, I'm going to shift kind of a little bit because I wanted to give people just a little bit of a taste of the flavour that is Simon and kind of some parts of your kind of life and stuff. But really what's kind of interesting me about the work that you're doing lately and what you've been doing for a while is it's not just mental health. You are someone that is making a massive, massive impact in a really positive way in the world of oil and gas and energy. And you are someone I respect. And I'd really kind of love to know, like, what's your thoughts on mental health? Because here's the thing. Mental health, I used to think, I believe, is a global conversation, and it's the most important conversation of our time. But to fix a global thing, you can't do that. It's too big. And I think if people stick to their little niches and take care of, which is like their little families, communities, or their little structures, together, we can make a difference. And you're doing that in mental health and energy, and you're doing a great job. But, you know, what's going on there? What's it like for you? Like, what's happening?
Well, mental health, it's a good thing, and it's becoming its own, or has become its own entity. It was under the banner of IADC, driven from that. It's now become its own thing, and rather than just focusing on, people thinking it's focusing on drilling, it is mental health in the energy industry.
Yeah.
And it's about trying to kind of bring some continuity and collaboration and getting the industry on the same page, rather than and bringing in, trying to, some focus and some standards.
Okay.
I think would be a good word to use. And there's a fantastic diverse team of people working in the task force that are, and it's not a quick fix.
No.
No,
it's
and
not.
trying to get the buy-in at the right level, it's got to start from the top, and this is where we're focusing, is getting C-suite buy-in across the industry to and bring some continuity, rather than different companies doing different things. It'd be better if there was, just because there are things that work and things that don't.
Like what?
In terms of, well, I think, unfortunately, mental health in the energy industry is still, for some, thought of and felt about in the same way that HSE used to be.
Yeah, back in the sort of 90s.
Yeah, and it's just a tick box exercise. We've
Yeah.
we've got mental health first aiders.
Yeah, posters on the wall.
Posters on the wall, and some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, which is great. Mental health first aid is the very first rung of the ladder.
Yeah.
It creates awareness, gives people awareness of somebody struggling.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I mean,
There's no kind of structural kind of...
no, it doesn't give them any capability to fucking do anything.
Yeah.
Apart from be an ear for somebody to vent into if they need to. But it doesn't gives them no skill set to actually do anything to help someone. And I think it's a waste of... I mean, do you really need to pay for people to go on a course to know where to signpost? You can fucking Google it.
Yeah.
Go and speak to your GP, go and speak to the employee assistance program, try and get some counselling or therapy if that's what you want.
Yeah.
And need.
That employee assistance program, there's a lot of people think a lot of negativity bias towards that. I used to think, well, a load of shit until I used it. Now, it's a great starter. It needs more. I think you definitely need more from that. It's not a bad thing, but I think it needs more. What's your thoughts? Because there's like, I can't actually think of, is there a process for mental health in this industry? Like, is it, okay, this is happening, because if there's an injury on the rig, or there's a shutdown, or there's a mechanical failure, there are processes.
Yes.
Right? And they fucking work, because we've done these things so many tens of thousands of times that we know exactly what to do. Right, we need this tool, we need that thing, you need to get that safety standard in there, you need that high-vis thing up there, you need this safety shackle, you need this specific weight bearing thing. And the reason why is because we've fucking hurt people over the years and things have taught us.
Absolutely.
So is that the same sort of like structural look that we need at this, that process-driven look?
I think so. In some way. I mean, I'm gonna. I am unashamedly biased in my what I'm going to say now, and that process that I took you through
Yeah.
in my back garden teaches self-regulation techniques.
Now, I would never have thought it that way, but now that you've said it,
That's what they are.
a little penny's just dropped. See, I've never... Right, this is interesting. This might be helpful because I don't use the word self-regulate. I use Steve words like, I need to sort my shit out. Or, I need to fucking get this in order, whatever the words are, right? But that is self-regulation. Fuck, I haven't been to the gym in 5 days. I should really go.
But this is self-regulation of emotions.
Okay.
So in crisis, when somebody's having a hard time, they are in fight or flight. They are then thinking, talking, and behaving from an emotional operating system.
So what happens to someone if they're on the rig?
They make emotional-based decisions, and they talk from an emotional operating basis, and they behave in that way, which usually leads to having to take both feet out your mouth and apologise again. Or you do something stupid, or, you know...
You lose focus.
And you lose focus, you make a mistake, you say something you don't necessarily mean. You say what you mean, but in a way doesn't represent what you actually mean. It can be interpreted in a different way. Through your tonality and your volume.
Emotions do get high and fast.
Yes, they
offshore.
do. They do. And this is the thing. And so I keep saying need to go from reactive to proactive in the industry.
Say that again?
Need to go from reactive to proactive.
Yeah.
And if you want to be proactive, you know, they teach people to do everything else they need to do for their job. But they don't teach people how to be the best version of themselves to do the job. They give them the skills to do the actual technical bit of the job. But not actually to be their best selves in their A game to actually do the job.
I'm with you.
So if somebody's got their head up their arse because it's all gone Pete Tong at home, and they're flapping because, you know, whatever's going on at home is not allowing them, then they can't get themselves in the right mindset, and they're either angry or frightened or scared or you know, sad, whatever it is, and they can't get away. They've got to be able to manage themselves, recognize it's about emotional awareness, to develop emotional intelligence. And when you have emotional intelligence, you can then build on that to build emotional resilience and learn to tolerate feeling uncomfortable about what's going on in here based on what's going on outside, so that you can keep your shit together and not lose it and not hurt yourself or somebody else when you're offshore in terms of the energy industry.
Yeah. So I love what you just said there, by the way. And you're right. I've been both of those sides.
Oh God, yeah, haven't we all? You know?
I totally admit, like, I've lost my shit a few times offshore. Stress, pressure, the confines of being stuck on a fucking metal island with a bunch of, let's just be honest, not everyone out there is having a great fucking experience.
No.
You know, like you've just said, divorce, breakup, the dog's not well. Your mum's in hospital, fucking hell, you know, shit, she's just bought another car. He's just went on holiday without me. There's shit going on. The conversations in the tea shack.
Yep.
If half of the stuff that happened in there got back to the beach, well, they'd be healthy.
Yes.
But you start to learn about people and you're like, fuck, people have got a lot of shit going on.
Yes, everyone does.
Yeah, right, boat's coming in, we need to offload, you know, fucking... so much fucking fluid and materials, you know, weather's kicking in, pressure's on. Right, we've got 3 hours to do this task. You took 4 hours to do it last time, so we need to do 2.5 this time. Like, fucking hell, you know, it's just like constant pressure. You've got 2 new guys in the crew that have been offshore for 12 hours. The first shift, and you're like, fucking hell. And everyone's looking at you going, like, nip on.
Yeah.
And you have no option. And the thing is, what's that saying offshore? There's no barbed wire on the helideck.
Yeah.
You fucking put yourself here, mate. You don't want to be here? Bye. And
Well,
it's true.
It is true. You know, everyone's there for the money.
The money and the time off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
100%. But we do love it. Well, I mean, I can only speak for myself. Like, I fucking love this industry. I do. I love it. But by fucking Christ, holy fuck, has it tested me over the years.
Yeah. It's not it's not the most comfortable place to be. Some are more comfortable than others.
Yep.
Some are really quite nice places to actually be.
Oh,
From the accommodation being great, the food, the facilities, actually, and the team you're on, the culture on the facility, on the installation that you're on, whatever it is great.
I do miss the food.
Yeah, some places were fantastic, really good.
Yeah,
really good. But yeah, people lose their shit.
They do.
And if some, and it's because it's a pressure cooker tinderbox.
Good analogy. Yeah.
It is. People's fuses can get really short.
My fuse is very long. My fuse is very, very long. But when it goes, it's usually, it goes consecutively. And like it leads on to the next pissed off blowout. Which is probably one of the reasons why I probably didn't get past Derrickman. Because, I mean, looking back, I fucking struggle with authority.
Yeah.
But I wanted to climb up the ladder. And I think that kind of stuff, I think if we learn if we admit, and if I learn and openly discuss the things that I got wrong, other men and women can go, shit, I think I might be doing that.
Yeah.
So, what are we getting wrong? In oil and gas, energy, globally, or even just North Sea, different locations around the world, there's a really great guy I'm following just now. He's such a good character. Justin Forrest.
Okay.
He's one of the best writers. He's a driller offshore. I think he works in Africa. He's an Aussie. Oh, I think he's a Kiwi, actually. Sorry, Justin. Big fucking difference.
You'll get a slap for that.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. But I remember years ago, I was like, I don't want to be a photographer, but I used to think I would love to capture sort of black and white kind of industrial images,
Yes.
Because I used to love those images of like New York when it was getting built. The men on the beams.
Yeah.
That kind of shit. I was like, I loved it. And there were so many spaces offshore, I used to think, it's actually really beautiful. Like when the rain's hitting down and it's got that rusty kind of yellow, rusty Eon night noir look. And I was like, it's fucking beautiful. And sometimes you'd catch yourself looking, the pipe's going in a hole, the boys are smiling but they're working, and there's just this serenity. For me anyway.
Yeah.
And there was a rhythm to it that made sense. And I always wanted to do photos of that. And obviously that never got to happen. He's doing this. And it's really captured my attention. And people like him are beginning to talk about these kinds of conversations. And he is a man at the top.
Yep.
He's earned his way. So he's a voice that's worthy of paying recognition to. So this conversation's important, but what the fuck are we getting wrong?
Staying reactive, thinking that, and focusing on policies and procedures, rather than actually helping people deal with the pressures effectively. Stress management training's been done, mental health first aid, but they're not doing anything, because they're not really giving anybody any skill set to actually handle the pressures more effectively.
What would be a skill set that we should consider?
I'm going to blow my own trumpet here.
Let's go. Let's do this. Let's rip this fucker open. Because honestly, if there's anyone, I'm going to say this, right? If there is anyone that I believe, and I've been in this industry for 15, nearly 16 years, I'm third generation drilling. I left my career because this matters to me more than anything.
Yeah.
I wrote a book. I did this stuff. We both talk about this. But I will hand on my heart, and I've done this, as you know, if there is anyone in this fucking industry that can make that impact, I believe that it is you.
Well, that's very kind of you.
I do.
I'll pay you later.
Jaffa cakes and sausages. It's an inside joke. We'll get on that one later. let's go for it, man. Let's rip it open. The work that you do, it works.
Yes, it does.
So, blow the trumpet, my man. Let's go.
So the process that I took you through in my back garden, I called the immediate care process because that's what it provides.
Yeah.
3 simple self-regulation techniques. There's an extra step that is kind of more therapeutic for reprocessing, but that's an extension of. But the 3 self-regulation techniques can be used reactively, helping someone in a having a hard time, and kind of losing their shit. Somebody once described them on a course as extraction tools to pull your head out your ass, which I thought was really good. Actually, it was a very, it was a good reframe and rephrase.
Yeah.
But you can also use them proactively by using them as your mental fitness training every day to bookend your day. Start the day with them to get your head on the right track. Use them at the end of the day when you get into bed to wind yourself down, slow your brain down.
Yeah.
Because there's some neuroscience involved in this in terms of access and various other and schools of kind of therapy and coaching that helps to slow down the frequency through these techniques, the frequency that your brain is operating in, so it gets you out of that high, fast spinning, anxiety, stress riddled state of mind where you can feel your head spinning, your heart rate's up, your blood pressure's up, you're breathing faster and shallower, and this slows your brain down so that takes you out of that state into a relaxed, calm state, or calmer, because you can't be in those 2 states at the same time. You can't be calm and have your head spinning at a million miles an hour at the same time. They're 2 distinct, separate states.
Yeah.
So it's a way of slowing yourself down.
Like fight or flight.
Yeah, taking yourself out of, disengaging that fight or flight system and getting down into nice, calm, logical, rational thinking rather than emotionally driven thinking, talking and behaving.
That sounds like the perfect tool for this industry.
And it's so easy.
I'm not trying to fucking promote or blow anyone, like, and say, do this thing, reach out to him. Like, do it. I know because I've done it.
Yes.
Talking from someone, I've been in the most high pressure environments on earth. War, family, offshore. This is industrial level and war levels, like, as you have too. There's nothing fucking higher.
Not really.
Not really. I mean, space travel, but we're not all going to get to do that, are we?
No.
But I mean, let's take out like a Formula One team. That's fucking high stakes, high pressure.
Absolutely.
High money, everything's on stake, and you're in a fucking public persona. Not only do you have to perform on the track, you have to fucking perform off the track. You have to conduct yourself in a manner that is befitting of that high, lofty position in life. And they do.
Yeah.
They do. Fuck, Eddie Jordan passed away today.
Really?
Yeah. That is so weird. That's weird that's just popped in.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh.
Yeah, which was a big up to anyone that's into Formula One, Eddie Jordan. What a fucking legend.
Absolutely.
But it's I think it's interesting because there's so many spaces in life, vocations and careers that we can glean things from.
Yes.
So I love what you were talking about there, that self-regulation, that what was it you said about the tornado?
A tornado in your head. That's the way I describe it, yeah.
That's such a good image that makes sense.
Yes.
So, like, how easy is this to kind of like place into the industry? Is it a hard thing? Would it take a massive amount of infrastructure, or like what?
No, it's a simple plug and play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's a 1-day course with online study.
Yeah.
To do, when I teach the techniques up front, and then people to get certificate at the end of it, they go through a short online course that gives them a better understanding of what's going on in terms of how the techniques work in here and here.
Yeah.
So the theory, the course explains what's going on, so that you understand for yourself, but also if you are in the position where you can help somebody else, you know the effect it's having because you've used it for yourself. And it teaches the physical and psychological effects of stress and fatigue, to really hone in on exactly what's going on with people when they're hyper stressed and the effects of fatigue, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the underpinning theory of how the techniques work and why, so that you have a really good, deep understanding of what you've learnt, but learn the techniques up front so that you can benefit from them from day one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the bloody point? And you can't teach this purely. It has to be face to face. It's got to be in person.
Yeah.
To teach this.
That human tactile connection.
Yep. And you can get immediate feedback. So it's a 1-day course with online learning afterwards.
I think that's brilliant.
All self-paced, the online stuff. But it teaches then, so you learn how to use these techniques for yourself. You know how to use them for other people. And as conversation we've had before, physical training is great. If you can exercise, even just going for a walk every day,
yeah,
perfect. Do something. Because our human body is designed to move. It's not designed to sit on its fucking ass like this all day.
Sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah. You get up and move.
Yeah.
Every day. But yes, I've had my mind fart now.
I feel a little bit better.
I just saw it fuck off into the distance. I was like,
no. It's the fucking worst. It's like so annoying, right?
Damn it.
Well, we're talking about, the immediate care process, emotional resilience, the resilience connection, and the tornado.
That's the whole new thing, the resilience connection. Jeez.
Yeah, the tornado in our brains, the connections, the tactile connections.
Yeah, so teaching up front. So mental fitness training. So physical training is great. If you can do it, do it.
Yeah.
And do what makes you enjoy. Do what makes you smile. I don't give a shit what anybody says. You don't have to thrash yourself.
No.
To get the benefits of exercise. In fact, that's not beneficial. Just going for a half-hour walk every day.
Yeah.
Do that. If you want to do more, do more. But we can't. But you can't physically train your body every day. It has to rest.
Yeah.
Because
Awesome.
you can train this every day, and this stuff I equate to your mental fitness training to keep you mentally fit and strong, so that you can. And it's learning about it's developing psychological resilience. To backtrack is you have to develop emotional awareness to know what's the emotional label that you've placed on things in your head, and what are the feelings that emotional label drives in your body. What sensations do you get?
Yeah.
Develop that awareness, then you can get intelligent about it. You can go, okay, I know what I've got now. I know what this is. I know how it makes me feel.
Mm-hmm.
And emotional resilience is learning how to use that and go, well, actually, yeah, I'm justified in feeling pissed off, but I don't need to be at the rage level.
Yeah,
I can be slightly miffed.
Yeah, no.
Toning down the intensity of what you're experiencing, so that you can stay conscious, cognitive, and rational and logical about things, and not make a tit of yourself.
Yeah, that is needed.
Yes, it is. We can all use it.
We can,
because we all screw it up.
We do. Sorry, I'm not ignoring you, mate. I'm keeping my questions coming for you here, mate, because this is brilliant. Yeah. So one of the things that I learned offshore, you need to have a thick skin. Whether the fuck we live in a time where everyone's equal, no, we're not. We're not fucking all equal.
No.
Are we? Fuck.
No.
And that's what makes us so fucking good. Otherwise, we'd never be able to learn anything. If we were all equal, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not saying that we all don't deserve a crack at an opportunity.
Yes.
Right? 100%. I don't give a shit if you're man, woman, anything in between. I do not give a fuck. As long as you're a good cunt. As long as you're a fucking half-decent person that's willing to be part of the thing. But I definitely did struggle with rejection. That's a
hard one to.
Yeah, it is. And I used to
Takes
give
practice.
myself. Yeah, I used to give myself. I used to give myself a really fucking hard time.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, rejection isn't nice, Steve. You know, it's not a nice thing to have. That was something I had to learn to regulate and be like, it's just information.
Yes.
It's all it is. It's just information.
It's not failure, it's just feedback.
Yeah. So that was my point. Do you think that it seems like such an arbitrary subject to kind of bring in here, but offshore really is this pressure cooker of constant feedback.
Yes.
We are interacting with so much information. We've just flown out in a helicopter. We've landed on a fucking helideck. We're in this brand new world. It's like visiting a different fucking space and time, right? You are on this fucking platform or a ship or a jack-up or a semi or whatever, FPSOs, whatever you're on. You're in a new world and you're just piled with information, constant new stuff, right? You're like, fucking hell. And you're like, and it's hard to be the person to go, right, I'm taking on a lot right now. I need to just process this. That doesn't stop. It just does not fucking let up.
No, it doesn't, no. So,
you know, what's something that you think would be beneficial to people who maybe struggle with that in this day and age? Because I'm just going to be honest with you, like, I come from the learn fast or die era.
Yeah.
And it kind of fucking worked.
Well, yeah, it does.
I'm not saying it needs to come back, but what's that saying? And I fucking know this is true, that hard times make strong people make good times make weak people make, you know, hard times. And we can see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't want to go so far with, I believe in soft skills, I believe in mental health, I believe in all that. I've got this personal belief that this industry, I don't want to fucking forget the men and women that built it. And they were hard motherfuckers. And they were not all nice. Some of them are bastards. Some of them are brutal. Some of them are bullies. But they built it. And we couldn't have done that. The modern day society couldn't even had a lick in at doing that. It would have taken them 100 years.
Yeah, you know, there's the pioneers. Yeah. Pioneers are not they're great for getting things started. They're not the right people for continuing it on.
I agree.
So the industry should have kind of swapped them out. You know, you get people in who these pioneers that get things running.
Yeah.
Then when you get, so there's the 4 stages: forming, storming, norming, and performing.
Okay.
So the forming and storming is these pioneers.
Yeah.
When it gets to normal operations, get them out and get people who can run things and maintain things on an even keel.
Like how they did with Churchill. Like, great wartime general. Not good for peacetime.
No, he was, you know, everyone has their place.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no.
So I think things like that need to be learned. And in some ways, the industry is phenomenal. It's technologically advanced. It's ridiculously innovative.
Yeah.
And technologically driven. Where it lacks, I think, still, is in its expectations of people's ability to change their behaviours in the time frame that they expect it to happen. Because we don't change our behaviours overnight. We can't. You know, when a policy or a procedure changes from one day, you know, right, the policy's updated, right, okay, this is it. Read it, absorb it, do that. If you've been used to doing the other thing for 20 years, and then next day, 24 hours later, you're expected to do something to the letter.
Yeah.
It's not ingrained yet. Yeah. Yes, it's on paper. But when things go wrong because somebody hasn't followed the procedure and people get penalised for it, well, how much opportunity did the person have to learn and absorb and actually put this into practice?
Yeah.
Probably fucking none.
Was it repetition is the mother of all skill.
It is,
It
you
takes
know.
time.
It does take time.
Constant repeating the same experience until it rests home. And even then,
Yes.
even then we still fuck up.
Yeah, and even in this kind of behavioural safety piece, you still there's a mismatch of expectations in people's capability to change their behaviours at the rate that is desired by the organisation.
Yeah.
Some are better at it than others, organisations. Some people are better at it than others.
Yeah.
in their ability to change, you know. I think from the military gives you a better capability to do that because it's just such fast paced when you're doing the job.
Yeah.
And you have to learn very, very quickly. You have to be very, very flexible and adaptable
Yes.
as a person in the military. And it was, I think that's, you know, that gives a slight advantage. But yeah, I think that's, you know, the rate of technological change has far outpaced our ability as human beings to change. And I think we struggle to keep up with the rate of change. We can't, because on an evolutionary basis, we're way behind that curve. Our brains are capable of making change on a daily basis with technology, etc. But we, as human beings, struggle to keep up with that. That's my take on it.
So what do you think with like the world that we're kind of facing now, like AI and, you know, this kind of stuff? Like, how do you think that's going to impact like mental health, the industry? You know, I'm trying to kind of keep this like really contained within energy because it's so important to me, and I know to you. And I know that AI is making massive difference to people's lives. It's great. But it is. It's like it's in energy now. It's in oil and gas. It's like,
Yes.
you know, and it's there. It's never moving away. And it's a great tool, but it's just a utility. How do you think?
It is a tool.
Yeah.
It is a tool. And it shouldn't be relied on in its entirety. It's an asset that needs to be used to best effect, same as any other tool.
Yeah. So,
And it has massively positive benefits across any industry.
yeah.
I genuinely believe that.
No, I agree. It's a fantastic. What a time to be alive it is right now. You know, the stuff that we've got coming out. It's just.
It's phenomenal.
It is. I mean, it's not just like ChatGPT and stuff like that, but there's just fucking so much stuff. And when you actually learn how to use the tool, when you actually take the time,
Yeah.
and not expect it to make all the things that you want to just magically happen, but when you're like, okay, like I'm going to really learn this. I'm going to take my time to slow this down and like, what could be done with this? And for me, it's made a massive difference to how I use it all the time. I use it every day, you know.
Yes.
It's just an incredible tool. And I think, like social media, it will only amplify what's already within you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just going to magically create stuff. It will only amplify what is within you. And if you're willing to do the work, I think it can be an incredible, wonderful catalyst for change, especially in mental health offshore.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a real asset, you know, as a tool. Even if somebody doesn't want to speak to someone, this is something I know this is being done elsewhere out in the world already. So I'm not giving anything away here. It's already being done. Is training AI to be that sounding board for somebody who's having a hard time. So you can type in and go. So it's trained as a therapist, and it responds and gives advice and tips and tasks to do and resources to go to and all that sort of stuff. So it can be a facility for people to access really fast guidance and advice and help without actually speaking to a human being, which some people really struggle to when they're having a really, really hard time because they shut down, they isolate, they withdraw, and they don't want to talk. And here's a subtle difference. I mean, this is not, you know, again, it's not, it's a generalization to a degree.
Yeah.
But the difference between men and women is men need to process in order to talk about what's going on.
Agreed.
Whereas
Agreed.
women typically need to talk in order to process what's going on.
Okay. Right.
Women talk more.
Yeah. Okay,
You
that
know,
kind of makes a lot of sense.
so we need to process it in order to talk about it, and women are typically the other way around.
So how do we make that work? Because that's like two opposing forces.
Yes.
What is that like when they say that's when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object?
Yeah.
You know, like how the fuck do we make that work?
I think having an awareness, just having that knowledge of kind of that difference
Yeah.
in a relationship.
This is some really good shit here. Like we could really open up something here.
I mean, it's, and there are some men and women will do the opposite depending on, but I think typically in my experience, this is what, you didn't talk about things. You had to
For
process
years.
things in order to formulate,
years,
to
yeah.
understand it, to go, okay, this is what I need to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So, when you were first talking about AI and people using it to kind of soundboard within themselves,
Yes.
'cause, my first reaction was, "Fuck that. We need people to people." That's just my first reaction.
Yeah.
And I felt the feeling want to come up and say, "Nah, fuck that." Stopped myself, and I was like, "Let the man cook," let him cook. And I'm like, it's easy just to go, "Yeah, fuck that. I'm against that." Now these days, I'm going, well, is he right? Is she correct? Am I wrong? And I'm learning more about myself by being willing to be wrong. And I'm finding out a lot more about myself. So, yeah, that's something I think was worthy of looking at. I've had a few friends say this to me recently, like, Steve, you romanticize shit too much. You romanticize that way of looking at the world, like, the world is technologically advanced. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but I come from a world where I've had to, like, military, I've had to do some incredible hard things with very little fucking resources. And we find more within ourselves that we're more capable of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to become too reliant on shit. But yeah, this is such a good fucking conversation.
Because the way I see that, using AI for that in that capacity,
Okay.
is somebody could log into their own account within this system.
Yeah.
And use it as kind of, rather than journaling and getting nothing back apart from what goes on in here from the process of writing things down.
Yeah.
Type out what's going on and ask questions, and then it can then help you to dive deeper in, and it will ask you questions to think about.
But what about if I've heard stories of like kids using that, and like bonding with it, and like having a relationship with this kind of thing, and like I think that is a different subject. It's the same subject. It's a different part of the kind of structure of what we're talking about.
Yes.
But, we are talking about adults here and grown men and women. So yes, they know what they're doing. But do you think there's cause for concern within it, or is it a really good tool?
I think it's a really good tool.
Yeah.
Honestly, because you can't, if you're losing your shit at 2 a.m. and you're on a rig or a ship somewhere, or you're just away from home and you can't access somebody to speak to right at that moment, and your head is spinning out of control.
Yeah, the tornado.
Yep, and you've got this thing to be able to go as a resource.
Yes. I like
What
this.
the fuck do I do? This is what's going on. My head's up my arse. What do I do here?
I was just putting myself back in the rig there, because I spent most of my time on night shift.
Yeah. Because you're too afraid to open up to to anybody there.
Yeah. Especially, you don't want to be opening up when you're fucking boiling. Mm-hmm. All the emotions are raw, really raw and visceral, and are not making sense. And you need to temper down, at least to a sort of...
We need to process to talk. This helps you to process.
Okay. See, this conversation is changing how I look at specific parts of it. I mean, you know, when I spoke about open the bleed off, it's not a cure. It's not a fucking fix. It's not a solution. It's a way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a philosopher at heart. It was my way, opening that bleed off, because the amount of times I popped.
Yeah.
You know, and I saw other people pop, and I was like, this is happening at a major scale. You know, like with my mate Don, you know, he took his own life on the rig. That changed everything for me.
Yep.
And when I got Caitlin in, and we had that conversation, maybe that little soundbite, like screen share there, like Caitlin, when we spoke about what her father went through, and I was like, I need to do something here, you know. And I wonder, it sounds so ridiculous, but like maybe if he had something he could talk to, just that night, you know, I don't know, or maybe there was an actual, like, you know, like you go through an airport and they've got chapels.
Yeah.
Like something like that. A facility offshore, whether it's an individual or whatever the fuck it is. You know, you get a med center, med bay, you know. It's a place where somebody can go. We've got a gym. Why not have a mental gym? It's not the fucking hardest. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's just needed.
Yeah.
We're talking about fathers and wives, sons and daughters here. Yeah. And if that is not worthy of that resource, then we can do all the gathering in hotels and nice hotels and talking about all the nice changes we're going to make. We need to make the fucking changes.
Yes. How many companies say their people are their greatest asset?
Yeah.
How many of those companies really take care of their people?
Fucking prove it.
Yeah.
So what would you say?
I know there are companies that do.
Oh, no, we both
Absolutely.
work with them, and this is why we're having this conversation, because, you know, there are some phenomenally pioneering companies out there that are making changes, not just at the boardroom level, like the C-suite, and not just like, you know, posters on the wall and campaign tick boxes. Companies have actually said to me, like, Steve, you know, I won't say what companies, but some of them have said to me, yeah, we're sick of the tick box exercise. We've realised that we were a tick box person.
Yeah.
We don't want to be that. We've had some situations that have come up, and we don't want a repeat of them. Not because it looks bad or anything, but because it affected us. You know,
yes.
In the day-to-day working, you know, like people care. Because they're not just people that come to work. You work with somebody long enough, they become like a second family.
Yes.
So, last question on mental health offshore before we move forward. Let's say that we've got a guy or a girl offshore, and they are in the tornado, feeling isolated. They've been offshore maybe 17, 18 days, maybe longer. They're far from home. Comms are down, you know, weather's kicked in. Everything's going wrong that could go wrong. I'm talking like worst case scenario. Like they are in the thick of shit, and they've had some bad news. They're having a couple of fallouts. They're not doing the best within themselves. Their work's been affected.
Yep.
They're tired. They can't be arsed going to the gym. It's a storm. What the fuck should they do? What can they do? What should they do? Or what would you say to that person?
If they didn't know those self-regulation techniques, somebody else on the rig did, sit down, have a cup of coffee, go through the techniques. If they know, but remind them, you have control over this. You've got fuck all control out of anything outside of you. You have some influence in areas. You've got no control. The thing you've got control of is this and this. And this will do whatever this tells it. So this is the thing that you have control of, not the other way around.
So the mind and the heart.
Yes. Mind and body.
Mind and body.
But it has to come through this. Because this responds to whatever this tells it.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is, and it takes practice. That's why when I teach these techniques, people say practice them 3 times a day for 30 days because that gives you 90 practice sessions out with breaking glass in case of emergency. So use as required.
Yeah.
So over 30 days, that's 90 practice sessions. 66, rule of thumb, 66 repetitions of something is when it sticks as a habit.
Is it?
Yeah, starts to stick.
What the fuck am I doing wrong then? I must take about a million.
So 90 practice sessions plus using it as you need to over 30 days, that's a couple hundred run-throughs in 30 days.
I like it.
That's a lot of practice.
So this has been, I wanted to really kind of deep dive into this kind of mental health offshore thing. And there are a lot of really good people out there.
There are.
There are a lot of good people. Not enough. We need more. This is, there's some really good stuff here, but I'm going to put myself in a bit of an uncomfortable position here.
Go on then.
I'm just going to read what I wrote.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off slow here. Being a psychologist, what advice would you give to me as a 44-year-old single man with nothing but time on his hands and a shitload of ideas with ADHD to make the best year I've ever had?
Okay. Well, to get grips with that ADHD is, I think
Yeah.
a suggestion
Okay.
would be write down all the ideas you've got at the moment. Write them all down.
Okay. No. Right. Okay. Do you know what? All right. I'm going to start. So,
Write your ideas down, all of them.
I'm actually typing this out. That's just giving me the advice. Write down all the ideas.
All your ideas. No list, no priority list. Just in terms of what's most important to be done, so that you've got something to focus on, and then you can check them off. So as you work through each one and find out whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, just tick it off.
That's interesting because I actually wrote the questions that I wanted to ask you today on a tick box checklist.
Yep.
And I actually, as the podcast is going live, I was ticking the boxes, So if anyone saw me looking at my phone and thinking, oh, he's being rude, I'm like, no, I'm actually working through a checklist here because I wanted to really kind of visit some fucking interesting, difficult stuff today. And I knew, believe it or not, I actually do listen to feedback. It just takes me a long time for it to rest home. But when it does, the change is usually permanent. I've had a lot of people recently say, fuck Steve, you fucking go off on tangents. When I was doing my TEDx training, producer, my friends that are photographers, like people are like, Steve, you're off to the races again. You're away. I don't even. It's the ADHD. It's a neurodivergent. When I was offshore and I was in the military, that never happened. Because it is task orientated.
Yeah.
And there is way too much at stake.
Yes. So you've checked that off. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
If there's something that's really important, I'll make a list and I'll check them off. Because I'll disappear off down some fucking corridor in my head.
Yeah. So
3 weeks later, I've come back to it. Yeah.
So yeah.
So
Write down all the ideas I've got without making priorities, and then work through a sort of segmented list.
And just work through them from top to bottom.
Okay.
Just to start with, take one day at a time.
Okay. So, what is something about me that pisses you off that you wish I didn't do so much?
Oh, such a great question.
Because we've all.
Oh, fucking hell. I love the tangents because to be honest, because we both do the same friggin' thing.
Yeah.
And it's curiosity and explorative, and I just that's ace. God.
Because I am in an era where I'm like, I really want to up-level my experience here and be a better person, a better friend, better man, better business owner, better overall person, and I can only do that by when I did the TEDx training. I got some fucking brutal feedback, and I was like, fucking hell. And I was like, I think I want to fucking quit this. Like, fuck the stage, fuck the TED, fuck the red dot. This is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And I even, like, there were some people look at me and they're like, what fucking hell? That was harsh. And I was like, I put myself here.
Yes, but that's the TED way.
Yeah,
So.
and that's fine. But for me, the greatest experience wasn't the being on stage. It was the relearning to be very strong at taking feedback and growing. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of what this is. But yeah.
I don't think there's not really anything that pisses me off, to be fair, mate. It's to give you a laugh at your expense. Is sometimes some you just videos, and I'm like, what the fuck was that about? Generally, I'm like, I have no idea.
Oh, mate, but I tell you, fucking Paul, the amount of fucking times I look back at my own videos and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, Steve, what the fuck was you? The shit that I post online, and an hour later, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's that fucking frazzled, neurospicy shit, and I'm like, oh, fucking hell. It's just part of who I am.
It just did. There's nothing, nothing pisses me off. I'm just like, fucking hell. No clue. No clue.
Yeah, you're not the only part. I've had people get back to me like, remember that one with the bubble bath?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had one mate get in touch with me and he's like, he actually wrote, Steve, what the fuck? And I never took it down. I was like, dude, like, get over yourself. Like, who cares? You know, it's fucking like whatever. But at the same time, I take my life seriously. And I love to laugh. I laugh through my world and my life, and I love all that shit. But
You have to.
you're fucking right. But I do, believe it or not, if some people might not know this about me, but I am in here a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How can I improve in this? How can I say this better? How can I affect change in a way that doesn't just help me, but truly helps people at a grand scale? Yes, I don't believe in this thing. Right. If you can help one person, don't help the world, help one person. I don't believe in that. I think be selfish. Help your fucking self.
Yeah.
That is the change. You cannot change anyone. You can help facilitate them changing themselves.
Absolutely.
And I'm still trying to fucking work out through a lot of stuff. What is your most powerful piece of unspoken wisdom?
I think it's a combination of things. Don't take yourself too seriously. Or life too seriously. Cut people slack. We all have bad days.
Yeah.
So pause, breathe before opening mouth. Particularly when somebody's pissed you off.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Yeah, it is. But
yeah, that's good though.
Engage brain before opening the mouth is the old expression that I was told. Fucking hard to do.
It's hard to do.
Takes practice. And be kind to yourself. Because what and how you say things to yourself about yourself has a massive impact.
When I did the NC 500?
Yes.
I've never admitted this publicly. Don't even know if I've told you this. You were there for me through the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't me doing a charity event. I wasn't going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
That was done. And not, I'm unhappy, I'm depressed. I was grieving the living.
Yeah.
And that was a pain I couldn't come to terms with. Have now.
Mm-hmm.
Still hurts. But grieving the living is, without a shadow of a doubt, the fucking hardest experience of my existence. And it has taught me grace and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking chiseled experience I do not wish on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
When I left on that bike, there's 3 photos across that I should maybe share them sometime online. But I left on my 40th birthday, and I was brokenhearted, and I was alone, and I was like, I'm just gonna go and find a nice spot in the Highlands, and just lights out.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that on the west coast in a place called Ardesi Falls.
Yep.
And there's a photo, like, I had an experience that night when I was up, I actually walked up off the roadside,
Okay.
parked the bike, and climbed up on the mountain. And I parked the glen, and I found the top of the falls, like the river coming down through the glen. I was like, yeah, this'll do. And I don't know why, but I put the tent up. I think it's the habit, I don't know. And I remember thinking, I'll just sit for a minute and just have a little think about myself.
Yeah.
And I was going to jump in. And I looked over, and there was a stag. And I remembered that conversation that me and you had in your back garden. And I remembered that thing with the boy. And I remember thinking about all this stuff that I'd been through. And this little voice in the back of my head going, you're not even halfway, mate. There's so much fucking more. If you could just find a way to get through tonight.
Yeah.
Not the rest of your life. Just tonight. And I remember gripping the fucking moss on the deck, on the ground. I remember being so fucking angry. Angry with my mum, angry with my dad, angry with my son, angry with so much stuff. And I just remember thinking, why am I so fucking angry all the time? There's so much fucking weight to carry. So much fucking wounds. And I was like, there's so much shit I'm angry with. And I just remember thinking, I don't want to be this angry anymore.
No.
It's so fucking...
It's hard work.
Hard. And woke up the next day, and there's a photo. I took a selfie. There's a selfie of me, and I was like, I look done. It's like exhausted. And then there's a photo of me at the end when I got back to Banff.
Yeah.
And it's like the lights were back on.
Yeah.
The lights didn't go back on that day at Ardesi Falls, but something happened. I got back to nature. I got back to nature. I got back to this nature. And I think that was the day that I made the decision to start healing. Not Steve, the inner child.
Yeah.
Your work was the catalyst. And if we hadn't met on that documentary all those years ago, I might still be fucking struggling with anger and frustration. And, it's fucking hard to admit that I was
Possibly.
I don't think I'm bitter, but there's certainly been moments of bitterness. And why is this constantly happening? And it's masked with drinking, and all sorts of fucking illicit behaviours. And I think to myself, what the fuck am I doing? And this is the type of person that was offshore.
Yeah.
So this is why I do this work. So I just want to say to you, mate, it's sitting having these conversations in a public space, and this is going to be on YouTube and stuff, mate. I'm so grateful for your friendship. And if people could even, thanks, mate. But if people could even just get fucking one fucking modicum of a moment from you on a video or in person or the work that you're doing, I think that would be the most wonderful thing for this industry. So I wholeheartedly fucking hand on my heart say, we need you.
Appreciate that, mate. That's really kind.
So yeah, man, it's a privilege to have you on the show, mate. And
My pleasure.
don't fuck up my great moment, mate. Honestly, you're a motherfucker. I love you to bits, mate. And yeah,
Love you too, brother.
this motherfucker manages to phone me every time I'm in the bath. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how the fuck you managed. It's like I swear there's a fucking camera following me somewhere. I'll be getting into the bath and I forget every time. And I get in the bath, I'm like, oh, the old bathtub, you know. Bing, bing. I'm like, every fucking time.
Just got a knack.
Yeah, you do, mate. Simon.
I have a talent.
A man of many talents. Simon, any last words, mate? Where can people find you?
Find me on my website.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
oh.
Yeah. Bit of a moment there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had a real mind fart. So I managed to delete my own frigging website.
Yeah.
So start from scratch. So there's a holding page for that. So people can find me on YouTube at Simon Lee Maryan.
You got some wicked interviews on there.
I've been very lucky.
Yeah, you got some really interesting people on there.
Yeah. I've got a few more coming up as well.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, everything on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube is Simon Lee Maryan. While my website is being rebuilt, and also with the Resilience Connection.
Yeah.
An online coaching community about psychological resilience coaching. So that's find me on that as well. That's turning into a nice little space.
Which one's that?
The Resilience Connection, the community-based kind of coaching.
Yeah, please check that out because it's life-changing shit, man. You know, it is.
I've got some interesting people in there as well.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, some wicked stuff in there.
Yeah, so some really cool people.
So where can people find that?
I will share the link
Put the
with
links,
you.
yeah.
Because it
So
was
it'll be on the video down below. I'm going to get used to doing this. It'll be down somewhere beneath there.
Because it was on my website, but I killed it.
Fucking lunatics, man.
What
We should not be allowed near
dickhead.
fucking technology.
No.
We should not be allowed. We should just be near like beer, wine, rum, and then left our own devices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mate, it's an absolute fucking pleasure, mate. And thanks
Loved
for
it.
coming on, mate.
Pleasure. Loved it.
Brilliant, my man. Right.
Cool.
Let's fucking go get a cup of tea.
Yes, good plan.
Yeah, some bacon butties, man. Bacon banjos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go get some food, man.
Food and drink.
Brother.
Excellent. Cheers, Steve.
No worries, man. No worries.